You see, there is only one constant, one universal. It is the only real truth. Causality. Action, reaction. Cause and effect. Download and listen to this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Reflux capacitor. Fluxing. Crew to stations. Scanning for The Matrix Reloaded 2003. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the Master Hacker Interrupter Powers.
You mean me.
Also, for this discussion of the film, The Matrix Reloaded, we welcome back aboard the tactics officer of the pod, Quitos Ruiz.
Thank you for having me back.
Always a pleasure to have you back, Quitos. And in addition to Quitos, we welcome back aboard host of the Enthusiast podcast, David Gardner. Welcome back, David.
Thank you for having me, Francisco. Glad to be back aboard the ship.
Awesome. And this is actually your third time on the pod. You know what that means.
You owe taxes.
Send me I work for the government now, so, just let me know.
All right.
I think it means I become official member of the crew.
That is correct. You become a shipman of the pod. So what department would you like to serve in?
Tactical research.
Tactical research. Okay, interesting. Then you'll probably be working under Quitos, so just be aware of that. He's going to be a slave driver sometimes.
I got a whole list of games for you to play.
Nice.
Well, congratulations, David, and thank you so much for being on the show. And now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for The Matrix Reloaded?
Wow. That was reloaded several times. But all right. Matrix Reloaded was released May 7th in the year 2003. It runs 18 minutes over the 2-hour mark and is rated R. It was directed and written by the Wachowski brothers, and who knows what they're going by now, depending on when you hear this. The lead stars being Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, and Carrie Moss, and the music was composed by Don Davis. Are you ready for the box office trivia?
I'm ready, Quitos and David.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready?
Fire away.
I'm ready.
Awesome. And everyone watching live, feel free to join in as well. Paul, go ahead.
All right. The Matrix Reloaded was made for around $130 to $150 million and earned over $730 million at the box office.
Wow. That's so much.
So, given this and the fact that it was released theatrically in the year 2003, how high do you think it ranks among the other box office? Sorry, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the other movies released theatrically in 2003? We'll go for the top 50.
Top 50. Okay, let's start with David. What is your guess?
I'm going to guess number 5.
5. Quitos?
I'm going to guess number 1.
Number 1. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess number 3. Let's see. D-Tungsten guesses 4. Neko guesses 2. So we all
top
have
5.
a high view of this here. Let's see. Any other guesses? And of course, Bobo says 42 or maybe 2. All right. All right, Paul. Where did it rank in the top 50 movies of 2003?
I'm sorry, but Lord of the Rings: Return of the King came at number 1. Of
course, I forgot about that one.
Oh, wow.
So Matrix Reloaded came in at number 3, and you got it right anyway, Captain.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I mean, I accept this honor with great gratitude, and
a Disney movie helped that because Finding Nemo was number 2, so I'm sure you appreciate
really?
Disney.
Wow.
For that.
No,
Dude, 2003 was a good year.
Yeah.
Well, it was the number 1 rated R movie until Deadpool, so that's why I think a lot of people put it high.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Well, very cool. And thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert, alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Are you, fellas?
He's just a man.
Kill him. What if I asked you to stay out of this? No matter what, to stay out of the Matrix.
Why?
I can't lose you.
You're not gonna lose me.
The Matrix Reloaded, rated R, starts Thursday, May 15th.
Wow, that's a lot of action.
It is a lot of action. It started May 13th. It's reloaded our memories, in fact. And here's your memory mind melt synopsis of The Matrix Reloaded.
Oh, sorry. Perry White's calling.
The Matrix Reloaded.
Operator.
It was a Morpheus joke if you get the whole Superman connection.
Neo is the chosen one doing his Superman thing, and we get shown around Zion with everyone coming up to Neo very starry-eyed. Then find out the Sentinels are coming. Trench-coated Ted Theodore Logan. Oh my gosh! Ted Theodore Logan visits the Oracle and is jumped by 1,000 Agent Elrons by a park bench. Insane chase down a freeway with Trinity, some dreadlock dudes, and a guy with the key to everything, including a bike. After a showdown on the freeway, Neo is stuck at a train station in and out of the Matrix. With the help of the Keymaster, but no gatekeeper, they are able to set Neo free. But Trinity dies, so Neo pulls Bullet out of Trinity and then uses powers in the real world to destroy a machine that gets completely knocked out by using his powers. Neo is laying in the infirmary with a fellow freedom fighter. Unfortunately, Agent Smith has somehow hacked the body, and it's time for the movie. I mean, a lot of that was right, but there was definitely some elements that were decepted. Particularly the whole train thing doesn't happen until the next movie. Almost. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what rating did they lead you to predict for this film before rewatching it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's start with Kitos this time.
Oh, so easy. Classic. I thought it would be a classic. Yeah.
Okay. David, what was your prediction?
Nostalgic.
Nostalgic. How about you, Paul?
I'm one of those weird people that actually liked this movie, so I predicted classic.
You said it's like 730 million. I don't think you're one of,
well, a lot of
one
people
of a
are
few.
like, no, only the first movie exists. You know, that kind of thing. Like, the other two aren't as
Nathan
good.
James Norman, we'll get to your comment later. For me, I also predicted classic. So it'll be interesting to see if those predictions pan out. But first, let's get into our discussion of the things we liked about The Matrix Reloaded. Let's boot up our
Best 3.
or best 2 in the case of us having 2 guests. So let's begin with David. What is something you enjoyed about The Matrix Reloaded?
I really liked the visual style and kind of even the contrast between Zion or the real world in this one and the Matrix. You can tell that, you know, there is a difference.
Yeah.
Except for one part when the people are coming in, that thing is very clean for Zion.
Yeah.
Yeah. The all white space and
no, that's in the Matrix. They're plugged in.
No. It's in the construct. Yeah. No, it's in the construct, just like in the first movie.
It's
like they start in that white area.
Those people that are doing like in the white screen, they show later that they're all plugged in. It's like
into the construct that is the program for that simulation of the flight control.
Wait, so you're not saying the white thing is in the real world?
No.
The white room. Okay, sorry. I thought that's what you were saying. I don't get what this construct is.
Okay, so
what's too clean? The area that they're seated around, that they're plugged into for the real world? He said a part of the real world was too clean. Is that correct?
Oh, maybe David? I misunderstood. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Well, I mean, if you think it's a program that the gatekeepers in Zion are in, then that's fine, because it's very white. It's very pristine. Mm-hmm. It's almost like if they're in a program, that's fine. But I always thought, like, why would they have, those people be in a program? It's very clean for everything else being, industrial dank as Zion is.
Yes.
Well, so I mean, wait, this is a thing you liked or disliked?
I thought it was cool. It's like they're in an Apple store.
I like the contrast. I like the way they they put a clean line between the real world and the world of the Matrix.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I would agree with that. It's seeing that contrast is cool. Not only in like the way they color grade it, but also the overall visuals of it. Yes, and so just to put a cap on that, if you've seen the first movie, I actually rewatched the first movie just yesterday, and they actually have this construct. Oh, that's awesome, Kitos. This construct program that they talk about, where that's where Morpheus first tells Neo about the Matrix. Like they first start off in this white room. Yeah, that is part of the construct program. So it can be anything they need it to be before they sort of hack into the Matrix signal or the broadcast or whatever you call it. So I feel like that flight control thing, white area, is just, I don't know why they couldn't do all that within the real world. Maybe there's just, I don't know, there's a better way of interacting with all the myriad of controls they need to do.
Yeah, it's more efficient.
Yeah. Regardless, Kitos, were any of the visuals something that made your like list, or was it something else?
Well, yeah, I love the visuals of the Matrix. Yeah, but definitely something that I liked a lot was the when they describe how ghosts, vampires, and werewolves were exile programs.
Yes,
and I just love that connection to our world and how we come up with myths and stories and stuff, and how they put it into the Matrix. I love that because it makes a lot of sense. It's like these things that shouldn't really exist in our world with rules, but they do because they're programs that are from either previous Matrixes or, they just refuse to go away
or something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like that it's similar to a callback to the first Matrix movie of like explaining deja vu.
Yes, exactly. I was about to say that, Paul. Yes, absolutely. Definitely cool story elements and lore elements that just make it all the more realistic. Isn't quite the word I would go for, but grounded. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Very cool. Paul, what grounded this movie into your likes?
The actors. I really enjoyed the cast, especially Hugo Weaving. Every scene that he was in, I just enjoyed it.
He would you say he hams up his performance? I don't know. He really walks that line.
Yeah, I would say he chews the scenery, but that's often like negative, but he really makes everything of it, and it's just so enjoyable to watch.
Absolutely. So that particular character you really like the acting for.
Hugo Weaving, yeah. Definitely.
Hugo Weaving, yeah. For me, I really liked sort of going back to what you were saying, David. I liked the seeing Zion from the dock and all the cores, just seeing all the different elements of Zion and finally getting to see that city that they set up that they talked about in the first one. I thought it made a lot of sense. I feel like part of me on after watching that one and the Reloaded and Revolutions, I felt like that seems like a lot for them to have just sort of made with a minimal number of people. Like so many like layers of depth, and especially if it's spoilers for the next one, it's destroyed 6 times. How are this number of people making all of that every single time?
That's the help of the machines,
I guess.
Because I doubt they dug it with their bare hands.
But I wonder how much of the city gets destroyed when they destroy all the people of Zion.
That's if you even believe it, but we won't go there.
Okay. All right. Fair. Yes. By the way, everyone listening, we may go into, if you've only seen Reloaded and never Revolution, we're probably going to have to dive into spoilers of Revolution. So be aware of that as well.
It's all one movie.
Okay. But so that was something I'm just sort of like adding to two of your likes. So adding to David's like there, and also adding to Kitos's like that they have this grounding of different ideas. But I also like just the ideas they played with of control and choice and fate and the sort of more philosophical notions that we sort of grapple with in our day to day. are the things I liked. But let's get into our classic makers, the things we love the most about Matrix Reloaded, the things we wish they could that would make us just reload this into our DVD or Blu-ray or streaming service over and over again. Let me go with Paul this time.
That's a weird setup for this.
Paul, I don't need your
my classic maker is actually the dialogue and the writing. It's
wow.
When they, especially in the scenes where they say like, for example, not everyone believes what you believe, and then the response of Morpheus, like, my beliefs don't require them to.
Yes.
But
oh yes,
the whole conversation's about choice and causality and purpose, and
I know.
they go deep into all of those, and I just love it. I think the writing is exquisite on those topics.
Mm-hmm. Gives you so much to munch on afterwards, and that was actually, let's see. Oh no, that wasn't my classic maker, but that was just something that just was so. I love when there's so much meat in a movie, especially something that's so especially for genre movies like sci-fi and fantasy, when there's so much extra, whether it's spiritual or philosophical or ethical or other things that we can relate to in our day-to-day, that you can explore ideas. It's really fantastic.
You usually don't get this kind of level on and from action movies, let alone any movie at all. Usually doesn't go this deep, so bravo to them.
I will say it did take me a few viewings to sort of get what they were saying, especially the Merovingian, with what it was like, what are you saying right now? I'm
and there's
so
commentaries sure. if you have the commentary tracks where they go even deeper into all of that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, I have to watch it with those on. That's awesome.
Very cool. So yeah, that's your classic maker. Fantastic. David, what was your classic maker for Matrix Reloaded?
I liked, not only connected to this, but there's a couple of things connected to this movie, the kind of extra universe they created with this, not only just in this movie, but things leading up to this movie. There's a video game, Enter the Matrix, where you play as Niobe and Ghost throughout most of the thing, and kind of play along. And instead of it being like, okay, we're just going to make a redo of this movie, they're saying, hey, let's tell an additional part of the story. Like, how did they get the information from the Osiris?
Oh, cool.
You know, there and there's also the Animatrix. Actually, they show the Osiris mailing it. Then you get the mailing in the Enter the Matrix game, and then go to that meeting where everybody shows in. So all these things are connected.
That's so cool.
And instead of just repeating themselves or doing like Star Wars Visions did, we'll just tell stories alongside it, or they don't have to be true. They put things that were connected to the story of the Matrix.
Yeah. And I love, like in the Animatrix, how you find out how Kid woke himself up. And I thought that was really cool, and just knowing his backstory some, which you don't need to enjoy this movie or the other movies. You don't need any of that, but it just adds to the overall meal of the Matrix, I guess.
Kid, is that the enthusiastic boy who keeps following Neo?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So I thought. I'm sorry, I haven't seen the Animatrix in over 10 years, but because But going back to this movie, Reloaded, I thought he said he was thanking Neo for saving him. If Kid woke himself up, how did Neo, quote unquote, save him?
Because Neo's the one who contacted him and let him know I forget. I haven't seen the Animatrix in a long time either, but I remember that essentially, spoilers for this one, he actually like almost commits suicide, but he's not. He's actually by throwing himself out of this school building, he's waking himself up. Nice. I forget exactly how that transpires, but that's what happens. But yeah, that's a cool thing for me. But so your classic maker, David, is that there's all this other lore that sort of gets that is a part of this. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
Ultimately.
Yeah. Fantastic.
World building.
Exactly.
The world building.
Kitos, what was your classic maker for this movie?
So mine actually goes pretty hand in hand with Paul's. I loved the philosophical discussions that everyone was having in this movie. especially the counselor, right? When he's talking to Neo in the engine room, late at night.
Oh yeah,
about how they're interdependent with the machine.
Yeah. He's talking about how they're it's funny because the machines are coming to kill them, right? But they themselves are sitting there living with machines, keeping them alive.
Exactly.
And then at the same time, it's like, are they a prisoner to the machine as well? Because these machines are keeping them alive. How different is it from the Matrix? I love that idea to think on.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
So good. So good. My classic maker, though, is something just very visceral and not at all philosophical. That freeway chase scene. Oh
yes.
My gosh. I was so enraptured with it, and it was just so thrilling. I had forgotten. All I could remember was the how cool it was when Trinity and the key maker were on the motorcycle. That's the only part I really remembered. I didn't remember all the other parts. Right. So it was just so thrilling. I just enjoyed that so much.
I love what Morpheus said right before that part. Where Trinity says, you've always told us going on the freeway is suicide. And then Morpheus says, let us hope I was wrong.
Yes.
That was
so good.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, those are our classic makers for the Matrix Reloaded. And I guess it's time to... Yeah, sorry, guys. I need to reload this whole section because there's something else I forgot. Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional, their podcast Calm Talk, and written articles all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com.
That's great, Francisco. Did you say that because Geek Devotions is here in the chat?
No, I didn't say it because of that. But this is a very geek-centric movie, and I'm sure I don't know if they've ever covered The Matrix in their Geek Devotions. For some reason, I feel like they may have. But
well, they were on our review of the first Matrix movie.
I mean, that's why. Yes, of course, that's why.
and at least one of them might be helping us out on the next Matrix movie.
Exactly. And they're also part of the Culture Box Network, which Retro Rewind Podcast is also a part of. So is that enough of a tie-in for you, Paul?
I suppose, but what does that have to do with this movie?
I just told you, it's geeky. This movie's geeky.
Okay. That's what you liked about this movie.
Okay, how about some trivia, Paul? Because I'm not making any headway here with you. All right. So did you all realize that the ship referred to as the Hammer, which is, what was the captain's name? It's not Niobe's ship, Locke.
The Boxer's ship?
Yes, the Boxer's ship. Yeah, Locke is the main captain of all the military of Zion. Yeah, I forget his name.
Roy Jones Jr.
That's his name?
The actor's name is, if it's the boxer, it's Roy Jones Jr.
I don't care about it. I want the in movie name.
I want his hacker name.
I want his hacker name. Well, if you can find it, awesome. But I am desperately looking for it quickly and
what is
succeeding.
The hammer referred to? Is that
after... I'm going to get there. there. I was just trying to... Soren. No, not Soren? No.
Roland.
Roland? Okay, we'll go with Roland.
Rolling down the river.
It's one of those. Anyway, his ship's name was the Hammer. But it's actually labeled and actually named Mjolnir, a difficult to pronounce name until Thor, essentially. Yes. This explains why nobody calls it by its real name. Mjolnir is the name of the famous hammer of Thor, the Nordic god of thunder.
You mean Mew?
What?
Yeah, from Thor, Mew Mew.
Mew Mew. That's the name of his hammer, Mew Mew.
That's what they call it.
I don't
because they
that.
Can't pronounce it. They call it.
Okay, it's been too long since I've seen Thor. Anyway, if you guys, Paul, Kitos, and David, were to captain a Zion ship, what biblical or mythological character would you name the ship after? So Morpheus had the Nebuchadnezzar, which is a Bible name. one of the kings of Babylon. Niobe had the logos, which is actually the word or truth in Greek. And then the hammer Mjolnir is related to Thor. So what is your guys's? Paul, let's go with you. What would you name your ship?
Mine would be Jonah, because we could survive 3 days and the Sentinels come right out.
Nice. The Jonah. Okay, I like it. David, how about you?
The Nathan.
The Nathan? Okay.
Yep. Standing right in the face of the bad guys.
Very cool.
I thought you liked being stoned. Oh, wait, was that Nathan?
Steven was stoned.
Steven was stoned. Darn it. Bad joke.
I mean, I'm sure more than just Steven, but
Yeah.
And how about you, Kitos?
Speaking of stone, I would name mine the Medusa.
The Medusa.
nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. I like it.
Just don't look at it.
Yeah.
Would you like, essentially, would yours have like leftover arms and stuff from the Sentinels attached to it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I would instill fear in the Sentinels.
Yeah, exactly. I would any Sentinels we killed, I'd put them on as like,
Trophies
like
or whatnot.
Trophy, yeah, or
Nice.
to ward them.
Love it. And let's see, in chat we have the Cellcast says the Godzilla. Very nice. And then Neko says, I call it Rollin' and Rockin' would be his. All right. Babo says the Cassandra, because no one would believe I have a ship. Okay. Is that what Cassandra means? I don't know.
The Cassandra warned about the Trojan horse, and nobody believed her.
Oh,
Thank you, David.
I think she was mythologically cursed for no one to believe her.
Okay. I like it, Babo. Very nice. Well, so that is your trivia for this time.
That's cool. Great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you.
And let's find out what memories you, our radical rewinders, had to say about The Matrix Reloaded.
John Harju says that it was the only one in the series worth watching. Whoa.
Wow. Stanley Wright says, Lord Elrond told us the ring must be destroyed. Whoops, wrong movie. When you have a cast like this, it's hard not to make an epic movie. This is one of my favorite of the series. The cinematography took a huge leap forward in this movie.
Nathan James Norman says, I think y'all have been decepted. They only had made one Matrix movie. I wish they'd made a sequel. But in all seriousness, my friend's mom was the stunt woman for Carrie-Anne Moss in the motorcycle chase scene. That's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Becky Smith says, this movie is considered retro? What year is this?
Well, it is currently 2021 when we're recording this, and this came out in 2003, so almost 20 years ago. Oh my goodness. Philip Hurd says, first Matrix film I saw in the theater, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. The world building and action were solid and held my interest.
Steve Hamilton says the twins, the Keymaster set, and of course the semi-truck freeway fight was awesome.
Awesome. And apparently that's, yeah. So thank you all for sharing your memories. And Nathan's leads us right into the things we didn't like about the Matrix, the things we wish we had just like ejected from the holster, or the clip never mind. The joke just fell flat. So let's
no need to reload that one. Just keep going.
Like about the Matrix Reloaded, booting up our
Worst 3.
Yes, booting up our worst 3, or worst 2 in this case. And I'm going to start this time by saying, and this is I guess this isn't a legitimate quibble, some might say, because hey, it's great for the time. Well, I don't care. I want things to stand the test of time. And I feel like the CG for Keanu was pretty obvious when he was doing his Supermans and a lot, especially when he goes up in the moonlight. That seemed like, and you sort of get a close up on his face. It seemed very plasticky. So
what's so weird is that at the time, I didn't notice it while watching in the theaters because this technology was so new at the time. I think since then our eyes have been trained to kind of look for gradual shading and highlighting that makes it look more rubbery. But to go off what you said, like the whole scene of him fighting the tons of Agent Smith, that's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Yes.
But as it progresses, it gets more and more CG, and it's kind of frustrating. It's still fun to watch, but I understand on the CG. It's another thing is that speaking of the CG, and I'm sorry if I'm stepping on anyone else's.
You're fine.
The whole thing, like the first movie was great with the bullet time. They'd freeze it and turn it. Every time that they froze the action down or even turn it was all like CG models. It wasn't live action.
Like in the first one.
Right.
Like.
It was frustrating. It's like, okay, you have these cool action scenes. Okay, slow down and turn on look at our pretty CG model and action, and it's like, for me, it was weird mix of, it's a step up in technology from where they were, but it was a step down also in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, I still appreciate it. I think that's why one of the reasons I gravitated to the freeway scene so much, because it was so much of it was practical and well done in that way. But I totally see what you're saying. And I didn't sort of realize that the bullet time was pretty much way more computerized. I think it was smoother, but I feel like you did lose some of the realism in that.
Yeah, because there wasn't any.
Let's go with Kitos next. Was the CG something you disliked at all, or did something else was something else worse for you?
Actually, it didn't really bother me very much, the CG. Like, I can understand. At the time, they did the best they can, And it's not like it's, to me, it wasn't that bad. Like, it didn't take me out of the scene. I still enjoyed it, like Paul's saying. Yeah. But for me, something I did dislike was that the whole Morpheus, Niobe, Locke love triangle plot.
Yes.
Really? It kind of was like, I just didn't really care for it. And I don't know how needed it really was. It seemed just like this like Hollywood thing put into the movie for
I think you could have
reason.
I tell me if you would have preferred this, Kitos, if it was there was some romance between Niobe and Morpheus, but it just never worked out for whatever reason. I feel like that would have worked better than having Locke be a part of this.
I think Locke added an interesting tension, but more on that later for a future episode.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. David, were there any sort of story beats like a love triangle or CG elements or visuals that you actually didn't care for in Matrix Reloaded?
Trinity's Matrix persona. I don't know that. I guess that this is a dislike for me because I don't like. She goes, very almost like very relaxed, very thing. She plugs into the Matrix, and it's almost like there's like a pull. Like she's all angles. Like even her movements are very robotic. It's like you're unplugged, girl. I mean, like her head movements are almost on almost like you were looking at a computer. I'm like, you're unplugged. You're not a sentinel. You're not. I don't know. It just hers. Just I mean, there was several, but hers especially was like, okay, you're unplugged. Don't act like you're a robot. Don't act.
Some people have a hard time jumping with Mario and not moving the controller, even after years. It's just even after being unplugged, it's still hard to let go of that. Maybe.
And so this is not related to that at all. But I will say, for me, and it might be more of a personality type, but I actually prefer to move in a very deliberate, like sharp way. And I guess less organic in a way. Like if I could move that way, I almost would want to move that way because I feel like it's very like with purpose. And when she's in the Matrix, she's very like has exact purpose she's moving toward, and she's going to get there. Like nothing's going to stop her. I'll tear that building down, or that building's going to, in 5 minutes, I'll tear that whole gosh darn building down. I mean, it's just very on point. Nothing's going to stop her. And actually really that appealed to me. I didn't notice it in her movements. Maybe with you saying that, David, I would pick up on it a lot more, but that's my take, but that's totally fair that's something you don't like. I could see that because she's not in the Matrix anymore. It makes sense that she would have more of a general motion. So understandable. I'm just curious, Kitos or Paul, did you pick up on that at all, or did that bother you with Trinity?
Never even thought of it.
You know, honestly, I never had the words to say it, but now that, now that it's been said, I totally get it. I totally do see that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's her leather suit that's very restrictive.
True.
Just real quick, guys. I'm confused. When it's shiny like that, is that more of a plastic thing or is that actual leather still? It's just somehow really shiny.
I don't know. I haven't worn it in years.
I think it's just polished leather, like leather that's been polished. Because I used to have a leather jacket, and I mean, it wasn't that shiny, but I have seen leather that is that shiny.
But hers is almost like Catwoman Tim Burton shiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Paul. That's what I was talking about. But okay, David. Yeah, so I totally get where you're coming from there, even though I don't agree. But thank you for sharing that perspective.
Wow, sorry, David. He doesn't agree.
Paul, what wasn't agreeable for you about this film?
Oh my gosh. I sometimes I get a little bit heady, but it doesn't make sense to me. It's like they didn't even watch the first movie, these people in this movie, because the whole thing about fighting the agents is that they move so fast they can dodge bullets. And even on the freeway chase, Trinity is shooting him and he's dodging bullets. Yet, okay, Neo fights him, in the first movie. But now everybody's fighting these agents where before they were too fast. Now all of a sudden they're not moving fast for some reason. It doesn't make sense. The first movie shows that you cannot move fast enough to fight and defeat an agent. You have to go beyond it. You have to go through their code. So why are they even fighting these agents? Like, why?
Because they believe.
No, physically fighting. Like the whole thing in the Frenchman's house where he's fighting all those people.
Those aren't agents, though.
No,
those
but they are programs. And so, like, okay, fine. Before then, in the meeting when the agents come and he goes, upgrades. Well, what does that mean? That, now I have to physically fight you? Fine. You can't defeat them. They move too fast, or you have to move just as fast and it would all be blurry, kind of a thing. But it's not. It doesn't make sense why they're fighting these agents. The only way to fight them is through to mess with their code. At least that's what the first movie showed us.
So honestly, the only other agent fight I recall is Morpheus and the agent on the truck. But that's just because he has to do something to keep him from taking the Keymaster. So there's agents at the beginning, there's agents throughout where they try to fight him. And it doesn't make sense to me. I am not remembering other moments of.
Did you fall asleep?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I just do not remember any other moments other than Morpheus and Neo trying to take on the agents.
These agents are computer programs, right?
Yes.
So I assume other programs can fight like them.
I guess Trinity at the end, but she was running from him. So, okay. Continue, Paul. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. So like it doesn't make sense to me why, especially Neo. Yes, it makes for a good action movie, but logically it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like once you learn to use the Force, you don't have to do a lightsaber battle like Empire showed. You could like throw things at people using the Force or push them away. There's no need to physically fight.
Are you trying to say Neo should have just zoomed into every agent and just destroyed their code too?
Yes.
Okay. I can buy that, I suppose.
Or through walls or whatever. He can make walls bend at the end, and all of a sudden he's like, running into stuff. And it's like, why? You can fly right through it. Like, it's all code.
I don't. Maybe it takes a lot of a mental toll on. Well,
maybe it needs to make sense. Classic, or not classic maker, but that's a dislike.
All right, that's fair, Paul. And I'd say that's actually a pretty substantial dislike. There were certainly some things like that were sort of plot holey and didn't make sense going from this one to the other one. They don't come to mind at the moment, so I'll bring them up if they do come to mind. But regardless,
I definitely got one. That's my tragic maker.
Okay,
let's hear it.
About to get into tragic makers, Kito, so go for it.
Yeah, so speaking of plot holes and Neo having these abilities and he doesn't use them, why didn't he save the Keymaker?
Yeah.
He couldn't get to him.
He was in the room with him.
Yeah.
He could have literally saved him, just like he saved Trinity.
Oh, like by flying him out?
No, by just healing his gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean it toward the end? I thought you meant in the room with all the keys where they found him.
No.
Okay.
At the end, when the keymaker gets shot, right?
Oh.
He can literally rewrite the code in his body.
Right.
Okay.
And then kiss him and wake him up.
Well, maybe not that part, but
maybe he wasn't as motivated. He set the program.
Oh, you've done your purpose? Okay. Well, there is that element too, though, Kitos, and based on what Paul said, maybe he was able to do that for other humans, but not actual programs. Maybe there's something different about their code that he can't necessarily fix. He might be able to destroy it in the case of Agent Smith, but he can't fix it.
No, the whole thing with Morpheus at the training ground says some rules can be bent and
others broken.
Yeah, completely broken. Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, it seems like a plot hole. And it was like they had to get rid of the Keymaker, even though they have this basically, all powerful being Neo who can actually save him, and he doesn't.
Yeah. I get how that
rewrite the code, Neo. Gosh.
Yeah, geez. Gosh.
Yeah.
If only you were like maybe some sort of like code hacker or something that they established. Oh wait, they did.
Yeah.
Maybe they need Bill and Ted to come on the excellent adventure to come help him.
Whoa.
David, what's something that you hated most about Matrix Reloaded?
I think they pulled Smith out too early in the Matrix. Getting into a little bit of spoiler, he's going to be the big bad super virus that literally will cause a whole lot of trouble for the Matrix. What's he doing that early already? You could maybe a couple of scenes where he's corrupting agents, corrupting the red pills.
Yeah.
But that one scene where he in the courtyard after the Oracle, I'm like, hello, you're announcing yourself to the super program. Hey, there's a thing that can replicate and has taken over a whole bunch of your programs. You might want to deal with it if you can while it's small. So I think they pulled Smith out. They could have made Smith kind of a threat in this one, but they kind of made like even sticking him in that hallway in the programmer space. And, doing all the fighting there, it's like, you're not picking up that there's a problem.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's almost like it's not. Well, I think we get this impression, and maybe this is a counter to that impression, that I think we sort of have this idea that the Matrix, inside of the Matrix, the computer is all powerful. And this is sort of a nod to it's not. It's not aware of every single facet of every single thing that's happening, especially for things like Matrix, Neo, Morpheus, all the people, all the resistance, as well as Agent Smith. Everyone who's unplugged, maybe it isn't aware of what's going on, and maybe there is something with this virus that it doesn't allow for. Like the first thing it does when it's replicating another instance of a person, it jams the signal to let the Matrix know that there's something going on. I don't know. I'm sort of like,
well, it would still trigger a thing of, hey, I'm starting to lose more people than normal.
Yeah.
What's going on?
A lot of people.
What was the last thing they encountered? Wait, that's Smith. That's Smith. Hold on. Logically, in all the mathematics that the architect does, he should like, wait, this is a problem that we need to eliminate before it becomes exponentially greater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
I think the architect kind of actually says why he lets it become a problem, quote unquote, a problem. It's because one, they're willing to like let the code basically run rampant, and they're willing to not even have humans exist at all if necessary.
There are some forms of survival or existence that
we are prepared for.
Yeah, exactly.
What does he know? He's just a stupid program.
Yeah. And then he also says the reason Smith is this powerful problem because Neo is a powerful problem, and it's their equation of the Matrix trying to balance it out. balance out this all-powerful Neo with an all-powerful program.
Oh, I didn't realize that the Agent Smith was something that they had wanted. I thought that the program had wanted.
Well, they allowed.
I don't think. Yeah,
Or they allowed
I don't
it.
think
Okay.
it's wanted. It's more allowed to balance the equation.
Got it. Do you guys wonder? I was wondering this. This might get into more of territory for Revolution, but do you think that the Agent Smith virus was something that happened in the previous iterations of the Matrix? I tend to think not, but
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I don't know. I would think not as well.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
This is me personally talk about other iterations since the architect talked about it in this movie. When I first saw it, I didn't believe him. I was like, you could tell me there was 100 iterations. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
That's right. I remember us having that discussion. Yes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I want to change my opinion.
Okay.
Now that I think about it, right?
Yeah.
I think Smith could have been a thing before, right?
Oh, okay.
Because every time Neo got to the architect before, he didn't choose like love and to save Trinity and all that. He chose to integrate himself into the source and restart Zion.
Yeah.
So maybe that Agent Smith could have been a problem, but that choice always corrected it. So they didn't have a problem
doesn't
matter because they would reboot the Matrix anyways.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I'm just curious. Well, we'll talk about we'll talk about more. I'm curious what you think was the thing that made this time different, that Neo picked something different, but that may be something
the other door.
I know. Why did he choose the other door though?
Because
the problem is choice. Is that why?
Hot for Trinity.
Oh my gosh! I'm sure that happened in other versions.
No,
anyway.
they all chose the other door because they chose the more logical door.
Yeah,
he chose the illogical.
The architect even says his previous iterations did not choose that.
Right.
Yeah, but is that because they didn't have a someone they loved? And that's
they probably did,
he
but
said,
they were willing to sacrifice.
Yeah, he literally says they have the previous iterations had a general love for humanity, while Neo has a specific love for a specific human.
So that seems to tell me different. That the previous versions didn't have someone specific they loved. Like
no, they did. That's why there was another door to choose from.
But they would have had another door. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Or maybe we're getting into the philosophical underpinnings of this. We need to get back to the things we hated about this movie.
It is one of the things I hated about the movie. I'll tell you why.
All right. Thank you, David, for yours. Yeah, I get that. That aspect of it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that wasn't something that really stood out to me. The thing that stood out to me the most as my tragic maker for Matrix Reloaded was I just do not understand the point of the rave scene and showing so much of Neo and Trinity, their lovemaking. They're sexy.
I knew Francisco was going to choose this.
Oh, really?
Now, I will say that last shot where they pull away in stages from Neo and Trinity, I feel like that is such a beautiful shot, even in their nakedness. I think that just looks so beautiful and cinematic. I definitely keep that. I don't think you need the whole partying on. And where's all that moisture coming from? Is that just them sweating everywhere? Yeah. That's so gross.
Yeah, man. It's a cave full of people. Where's the moisture going to go? It doesn't evaporate into the air.
It just seems so gross. But that's me. In my prudish ways, I suppose. No, but I mean, I guess I sort of assume Trinity and Neo are married in some way. Some Zion marriage ritual, but I have no idea for sure. Regardless, I didn't need to see as much of it as they showed. I wouldn't mind them hinting at some and ending with the shot that they ended on, but that was my tragic maker. It didn't seem necessary to the plot of the film at all.
I disagree, but
fine. Oh, okay. Tell me why you disagree. I'm curious.
Because there should be more sad.
More so with the rave part, right? I mean, it shows humanity. I mean, it shows one aspect. Sorry, not all of humanity, but it does show an aspect that the machines lack. It's this idea of celebration, of of the fact that human beings can actually, I don't know, engage in
ritual.
I don't know what to call
Frivolity.
that. Yeah. Machines don't do this kind of
That's
thing.
a good point. Yeah. Oh, so, but if that were the case, they need to contrast that, like, just visually with the storytelling to something that's very machine centric. And I don't remember them going right away to something that's very mechanized.
This whole movie
I
is
can agree with you on that.
Oh,
they wanted to show the opposite side, like, you know, like,
I shagged her rotten, baby. Yeah.
oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, I can agree with you there, Francisco. They could have added some kind of juxtaposition or something to really hit that
show the contrast.
Yeah. I think that's I mean, what you say, Paul, what you say, Kitos, is that makes a lot of sense. I had not thought of it in that dimension, and that's actually a very keen insight. Yeah, I just wish the visual storytelling had had punctuated that more, because I think that would have been great.
More, to make it more less. Sorry, I'm trying to think. The word escapes me. Sorry.
Less vague.
No, it's excessive is not the right. It seems like. What do they call it when there's like they say like there's too much sex in a movie?
I know what you're talking about.
Exhibitionist?
No, I totally know what you're talking about. Not grotesque. It's something like that, though.
But it's like extra, and it's like they don't have a yin and yang for like it's like non-purposeful without it.
Yeah. Oh, geez, that word is totally escaping me. Thanks a lot, Paul.
I'm sure people listening can.
No, it's not provocative.
It's gratuitous.
Gratuitous, yes, that's it.
Yes. That's my tragic maker for this episode.
Yeah, right.
I couldn't think of that word.
My goodness. Well, Paul, what's your tragic maker for the movie? How about what's in with you?
For The Matrix Reloaded, tragic maker is that this movie does not make sense. I mean, here Neo is trying to destroy the machines, destroy the Matrix so the humans go free. He meets the architect. You know what? Instead of destroying him, like jumping into his code and destroying him, he's just going to I'm going to actually sit here and listen to you. And actually, you present two options, which is is a false dichotomy, but as a machine, that makes sense. There's on and off. That's understand that they think that way. So it's either one or two doors. That's fine. But Neo to actually take one of those two doors doesn't make sense to me. But what really doesn't make sense is that all of a sudden something's different now. I can feel the machines, and he's able to stop them with his mind. And like in the real world, that does not make sense. It does, and they have no way of explaining like, oh, my mind is like in the Matrix and in the real world at the same time, and I can blow these machines up with my hand just by like pointing it at them. It doesn't make sense.
Well, so here's how I took it, Paul. This is sort of how I think of it. And I think you have to make mental leaps to get here, but this is sort of how I think of it.
Then it doesn't make sense. All right, go ahead.
That there's something about their equation or whatever it is that the architect talks about that allows the one to sort of come up through the matrix, that like there is a one, however many times it happens.
I'm sorry, I'm not listening to you. Like I'm not listening to the architect. It's all words. It doesn't matter. Just do action, boom, go. Are you saying that because he chose the door through Trinity, it enabled his mind to be in both worlds and all of a sudden attack machines with his hands?
No. I think because there's something about the machine setup that we have to have this chosen one for whatever reason so that the equation balances. So that they imbue the chosen one, whoever it is, Neo in this case.
That's only within the world of the Matrix, not in the real world.
Listen,
I'm listening.
Let me talk. Okay. They imbue his like residual self-image or whatever it is, that thing that's in the Matrix, with some code that allows him to have all these abilities, okay? And that, because they put the code in, that code, because it's somehow connected with his mental faculties, is still, whenever he sort of surges out from his mind, it is connected in some way back to the source, back out to the Sentinels, and that's how he's able to stop them. It's just the Force, Paul. It's the Force.
It is the Force.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
One thing that made, like when the architect talks about when the one goes in there, there's something about they're messing with his code. They're messing with his code, or they're going to use look at his code. What if while he was in there talking to the architect, they're already doing that, but he also, to do that, they opened himself up to the actual code of the Matrix, because they were going to add his particular peculiarities to the code of the Matrix.
Baloney. He's already in the Matrix. They can look at his code anytime, before he was unplugged and after.
I think it's opening himself up, right? I mean, that was just one idea. That's how I kind of like, okay, maybe that's since he opened himself up to the Matrix's code, being with the architect in that room, it may be like, oh, it's kind of, they forgot to close the gate.
Oh, they forgot to turn the VPN off. Okay.
also, Paul, like, that's the other thing, right? That's kind of where the Oracle comes in and what she says. It's all about, I almost equate the choices people make to them writing code for themselves. So even if they look at the history of Neo's code, right, it won't show the one's code, because the one's code doesn't exist yet, because Neo hasn't made those choices.
Ah, that's a good point. Yes. Paul looks lost.
Paul's looking at me like I'm the architect.
It doesn't make sense. Okay, here's
all right.
Here. I have a simple thing.
If he has
Paul.
control in the Matrix, that's fine. That is, let's call the Matrix a holodeck.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But once you are outside the holodeck, and this is where Star Trek gets it wrong too. They're like, oh no. Somehow you still affect machines that are not even attached to the holodeck. You can blow them up with your mind. It doesn't make sense.
Okay,
they are connected to the holodeck, because
they're not.
Yes, it's a hive mind.
Hacking. One is for
all of the Matrix is interlinked via this expansive network.
Yeah, it's a World Wide Web. Just because you visited Yahoo doesn't mean that you can blow up the White House.
If I take down a server over yonder, it's going to affect all the other servers, and you're not going to be able to access the information on that server.
So let's say Facebook goes down. That doesn't mean I can hop on the freeway and stop cars with my bare hands.
Okay, there's only one explanation.
That's because you're not the one, Paul.
Oh.
There's only one explanation. He's the one because he's actually a mutant X-Men. Okay, and he has Wi-Fi powers.
That's it. We got it. Nailed it.
It doesn't make sense with the rest of the movie, is what you're
All
saying.
right, well, fine, Paul. You know what? Let's see if our final ratings make sense, because it's time to get to our final ratings right now, because we've entered all our trajectories into the firing computer. Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
No. Okay.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Do we rate The Matrix Reloaded a classic? Would recommend anyone go see this, whether or not you've seen this before. I would stipulate that you need to see The Matrix, the first one,
I don't know, do you? They didn't follow some of the rules. Why?
Okay, I'm going to stipulate. I'm the captain. That's the rule I'm making.
All right.
So take these reins in the context of that. So do we rate a classic? We recommend anyone go see this movie, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's worth rewatching if you saw it as, I guess, a kid watching rated R movies, or just a young adult. You've seen it in the past and you remember enjoying it. Yeah, watch it again. But if you've never seen it before, pass. Or would we rate it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time. If you've never seen it before, keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't rewatch it, because any fond memories you have of it will be sullied. Let's begin with Ketos this time. What is your final rating for The Matrix Reloaded? And your prediction was classic. Did it stay true to that?
It did. I definitely think this film is a classic. I think, especially in the context of watching it with all the films, it's a classic. If you've only seen it, this film, I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be a classic, but you'd be like, what is going on here?
What? Who is this?
But definitely, if you've seen the first one, going into this one, it will instantly be a classic too.
Very cool. David, you predicted nostalgic. Did it stay nostalgic or change for you?
I'm going to upgrade it to a classic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is part of, as I was thinking kind of, listening, it is part of, it's something you've got to experience once, and it's, it is worth watching again and again. Mm-hmm. So I am going to upgrade it to a classic.
Awesome. Paul, I given what your Tragic Maker was, I'm curious if that swayed you. So you had predicted classic. What was your final rating for it?
Yeah, as much as the great visuals and dialogue, and the fact that this movie makes no sense when you stop to think about it, it actually, I had to knock it down to nostalgic.
Wow.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
All right. That's fair.
That's how much it bugs me sometimes. But not enough to make it a tragic.
All right. I know I said there's a lot I liked, but I think it's actually tragic.
What?
That anyone would not call this a classic.
Oh,
Come on, Paul. What are you talking about?
You got me.
Wow.
Oh, you know what?
No.
I think I'm going to change my rating to tragic because just to tick you off. No, I'm going to keep it nostalgic.
Just out of spite.
That's right.
The reflux capacitor is run on dollars and spite. Nice.
Got to keep it going.
According to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate The Matrix Reload disputed classic film. We'd recommend anyone go out and see this, whether or not you've seen it before. But now it's time to get back to our own time out of the Matrix. Good old 20XX.
20XX?
Comsat online. Receiving incoming transmission.
Feels good to be back, except now I don't have my steak. I just have this slop. Oh, well.
Womp, womp.
But we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 2003 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keating, Patrick Hicks, LJ Lowry, Chris Cowan, Chris Owens, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Cronenbitter, Pastor Deucin, Kennethan, Redeemed Otaku, Ryan Leglab.
Ran out of breath, hopefully, and not patience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Redeemed Otaku, That's Our Babo, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff, The Dapper Man Reviews, Tony from the Retro Days, Mr. Lost, and Daryl Hafner, in addition to 10 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you help keep us flying for as little as $1 a month, and you can get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to help us grow via Patreon, Subscribestar, or PayPal.
This is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
And while we're thanking our supporters, we also want to give a big virtual hug to our guests for supporting us with their thoughts about Matrix Reloaded. So we're going to start alphabetically and go with David. Where can people find you online, or is there anything cool you got going on people should know about?
I do a devotional podcast most Sundays called The Enthusiast Devotional Podcast. It sometimes gets accidentally referred to when Francisco says enthusiast. But
no, I have trouble saying enthusiast. I want to say enthusiast all the time, but all right.
Yeah.
Enthusiast?
Yeah. ENTHUTHEIST. Okay. We are just now finishing up our series going through What If. For Christmas, we're going to be looking at lessons from a mean one, 3 different Grinches, 3 different conversations, and then something special coming up in January. I'm not quite ready to announce that, but look forward to talking about those.
Very fun.
Intriguing.
Awesome.
All right. And Keith, though, so glad you're able to join us. Where can people find you online, or is there anything cool you got going on?
Let's see. People can find me online at on my Twitter. It's at Cool Deluxe, QOOLDELUXX. And then also, I do have a tech support website that I run. So if you ever need personalized tech support, you can go to TEQSUPPORT.online. So that's tech support with a Q. .online, and you can get tech support for whatever issues you may be having on your computer. I can help you with.
Fantastic. Thank you again so much David, thank you so much. Kitos, for being on the show. Is awesome having you both back.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Great to be here.
Awesome.
Francisco.
Yay. So glad. And a hearty thanks to those of you, yes, you listening right now, whether it's your first time or, of course, anyone who's listening that's part of the Rad Rewinder community, you all who watch us live every week, whether we're recording this podcast or playing retro games, you're all an amazing group of people helping to sustain the pod. But if you are looking for ways to get involved in growing this Retro Rewind endeavor, reach out to us on social media where we are at Retro Rewind Pod, pretty much everywhere. Buy some of our merch. You could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser or your podcatcher of choice. You could become a monthly patron, or you could simply just share your favorite episode of the podcast with a friend so that more people can enjoy the content of the Retro Rewind podcast, be it a dog or a human.
Share it with your dog.
Obey my dog.
Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
You have a choice to do that or not. And you have been listening to RetroRewindPodcast.com/238, our review of The Matrix Reloaded with me as your XO, PaulJPowers.com. You can find me online and all my socials at PaulJPowers.com.
All right. Thank you for being an amazing friend. So glad you're not just a Matrix illusion, Paul, but you're the real deal. And it's been another fun voyage with you. I have been and continue to be the captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz. Find me on Twitter at FXRetro_, especially if you need pixel art work commissioned.
We're all here to do what we're all here to do.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
We are now part of the Culture Box Media Network. Francisco says, I can change this, so I'm changing it. Find it at culturebox.media because, you know, it's cool. They have shows there that unpack truth through story, comedy, geekery. So is that cool?
That's cool, Paul. Thank you, XO. Thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful now than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we got to catch you all for The Matrix Revolutions, our next episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
Wow, we're handling 3 Matrix movies? I wonder if it's similar to handling 3 different women at once.
Let's ask young Indiana Jones!
Then it is something that man was not meant to disturb. Trust me.
Are you making this up as you go along?
Yeah? You don't believe me. You will, Dr. Jones.
Mission accomplished. Full throttle. No break.
Those people are trying to kill us.
I know, Dad! It's a new experience for me.
Happens to me all the time.
Welcome to chapter 21 of our reviews of Young Indiana Jones, where we go through the whole adventures of Young Indiana Jones. Is that what it's called, Paul?
Yes. Very good.
Finally got it.
Yeah, it took 21 chapters, but you got there.
Don't worry, I'll blow out the last one here.
Yeah, we only have one more to go. Let's see if you can hold on.
Well, so we are in between our reviews, our Christmas reviews of the 3 Indiana Jones movies. We have been covering the Young Indiana Jones series. And like I said, we're up to chapter 21. And Paul, will you give us the technical specs of this episode?
Yes. This is, like you said, chapter 21. It's titled Young Indiana Jones and the Scandal of 1920. Mm-hmm. It originally aired on April 3rd, 1993, and it is one full episode, unlike most of the other chapters that are comprised of 2 episodes spliced together. So do you want to give us try to give us a one sentence plot synopsis of this?
Yes.
chapter?
Yes. I mean, we sort of hinted at there in the lead-in, but Indiana Jones essentially meets 3 women and tries to date them all and gets exhausted and gets a cake in his face at the end.
Ba-dum-bum.
That's cake. Indiana Jones.
That's womanizing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So let's first start with something we liked about this episode. Let's start with David. What's something you enjoyed about this episode of Young Indiana Jones? And you've seen one of these before, correct?
This is my third.
Third. Oh my gosh.
Hey, mine too.
Welcome
oh, really?
to the
Okay,
Torture
perfect.
Club.
Torture Club. Okay, so what did you like about this one?
Speaking of Culture Club, I would say it's going to be the music.
Okay.
Kind of bringing in some of the, like, your Gershwin, Irving Berlin, even the guy with the top hat. I can't think. I looked him up. He is somebody, and that's When My Baby Smiles at Me. Those are actually real people in the 1920s, and kind of bringing in that, you know, that whole spirit of the music including the scandals. There really were, the scandals were a kind of a contrast to the Follies, Ziegfeld Follies.
Interesting.
It's all that music. That's my like.
Okay, very cool. Kitos, what's something you liked? I'm sorry there are no telegrams that had to go through a bunch of paperwork channels to get something done, but
there was a bunch of women to juggle, so that's
honestly, the only thing I really liked was just the setting, right? I love the whole 1920 aesthetic and everything, and everyone's like fashion and clothes and all that. I enjoyed the atmosphere of the episode, but
how it looked in terms of the period and stuff.
That's funny because of all the episodes that we've seen, I thought this one was most like the other one that we saw with him trying to go through all the paperwork rigmarole.
Yeah,
just like
I could see
I
that.
thought if any other episode that you would like, Kitos, because I know you like that episode, it would be this one because it reminded me very much of it. But something I liked was because I've seen other episodes and chapters, I enjoyed seeing some of the actors come back, like the musicians from the previous chapter. A couple of them were there, the clarinet and the singer, and even Jay Underwood came back. He was a little bit...
Yeah, why was Hemingway back in? I didn't get why he's there.
He's in New York around that time just to have him back, and he was kind of a jerk, and it was, I loved seeing Mark Holton, who played the chubby. He's from in Teen Wolf he played Chubby, and in Pee-wee's Big Adventure he played
Was he
Francis.
one of the critics?
He's one of the critics that Hemingway called Fatso, to be quiet.
I thought I recognized him. Okay.
So it was fun to see those other actors in that.
Gotcha. Okay. For me, it's
we're
tough.
on the likes, Francisco. We're on the likes.
Oh no, the actress who he's the one that Indy stays with. Like he comes to New York.
Anne Heche.
Anne Heche. That was her character name or the actress?
That's
the actress
name.
I thought she was the best. I thought
now we're playing favorites. Okay.
Yeah, I am going to play favorites. Obviously he should have been with her of all the people. I mean, because
once if you're able to stay with the rich person, you're set for life.
No, but she was so boring, and then the singing gal was nice and sweet. I hate that he left her because he forgot the time originally. But I mean,
apparently he has no clue about time at all because he's 30 minutes late for everything.
Right? Oh my gosh!
If not hours late.
Okay, well, we're not getting into our dyslexia. I mean, I guess we can actually.
Are we going through of the three? Who would you rather see him pick?
Paul, if you have those names up. Let us know what
there's Kate and Gloria and Peggy. So if you remember which one was which,
Peggy was the singer. I remember that because
yes.
she said she's Margaret. Her friends called her Peggy.
Yes.
And then I think Gloria was the rich one, the blonde rich one.
And then Kate was the lady that he stayed with.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, Kate is my pick.
Yes.
How
I would
about for you,
actually have
Kitos?
to. Oh. Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think if any of them, I would pick Kate. She's the most, I guess, I don't know. She has the most synergy with Indiana Jones, who Indiana Jones is, you know,
as far as culture and
like life and everything. Well, the other ones, not so much. Like they're just pretty faces to him.
Yeah.
If anything, like.
Yeah. And I would have to agree. If you're going to spend like hours, and I mean like 12 hours plus just talking and connecting on different levels, then there's a lot more there than just
the physical or
I was about to say on the surface level stuff.
Yes, exactly. So was Kate your pick also then, Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll assume David would pick Kate also. Yeah. But we have. So David said to just go on. So we will message for. He's stuck in the Matrix, so that's what's happening. He's looking for an operator. No one can. He's a hard line. He can't find. He would have picked Peggy though.
Oh, okay.
Right. So interesting. I'm curious why. And then we'll go ahead and go into dislikes now. And David's was, why did he give Peggy the watch? He knew Gloria was in the theater. Why give something that Gloria would see? Yeah, I think it's just a way for them all to find out about each other. Yeah, he's not making good decisions. He's not sleeping very well, obviously, because he's juggling all these women. And it's his own fault.
He never sleeps.
Right? Jeez Louise.
Yeah, here he is working full time, and then he's dating 3 women at the same time. How does he keep going? It's just incredible. He's under 21. So he still has that youthful energy.
That's a good point. I guess that does help, but it definitely does take a toll. And I don't like the womanizing Indiana Jones. I can't think of in any movie is he like with multiple women. I think it's always just one.
No, but this is how he learns. This is all stuff that leads up to it, so that he has a way to with women. This
is episode 21. He hasn't learned a thing. There's been no gradual progression in this area of his life. I saw he's certainly coming to maturation through going through the war and being
I'm trying to find an argument against you, and I can't. You're absolutely right.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, so that's pretty much my dislike. I just really despise that he's like. I mean, fine if he's going to not. So Peggy's the first girl he meets on the train, and he has some connection with. That's fair. If he honestly, like we've spoken to, he's talking with Kate throughout the night, just like going the whole night, and he so much so that he forgets, and then he does. I think it's honorable. He does try to go and find Peggy. That's great, but he doesn't. Fine, he should just leave it lie. Not like, and if Peggy finds him, I forget exactly how that goes. Just say, you know what, I met someone else, and just be honest and upfront. I mean, it's just ridiculous how he's trying to juggle everyone. Oh, I hate him so much.
That's what I've found the most. That was my dislike. Is he has that moment with the billiards, and he's like, okay, I can't choose this one, or I can choose this one, but I can't choose this one. I'm like, he finally has a moment where he can say, okay, here's the pros and cons. You know, okay, she's not Rachel. Fine. If you get that joke, that's cool. But here's his chance. Like, look, dude, you have to pick one or you get nothing. But of course, he winds up with nothing, you know, and that's frustrating because here you have a chance. Here you have a moment to pick one and go for that and say, I'm sorry to everybody else. But he doesn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So that was definitely a frustration. Kitos, what didn't you like?
Yeah, I mean, I agree right with you guys on that point. It's literally like it's okay. I get there's like a learning curve, you know, especially as Indiana Jones becomes young to, you know, what we get in the movies, right?
Right.
But again, there's right and wrong, and Indiana Jones knows what's right and wrong, okay? And juggling 3 women is very wrong.
Yes, exactly.
Come on, like he's
only wrong
not
if you
sleeping.
Wow, Paul.
Oh, man.
No, that's not my
So-
philosophy. That's what some people say. But
Yeah, no, I get you. But yeah, no, so I don't know. It's just this episode is so weird on Indiana Jones' character because
it is. It's not adventures. Again,
yeah, it's not an
isn't at
adventure.
all.
It's not. Yeah,
Ugh.
so like the paperwork thing, it's just funny to me. But this one, it's like it's showing a piece of his character that isn't really there in the movies or anything. I don't know where this comes from. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, there we go, I suppose. Well,
So
David got
who-
out of the Matrix. Welcome. Did
Who would
Tank
you
help
choose?
you? Or?
Who do you think he should choose between the 3 women? And you said Peggy. Do you know why?
I think she was probably, like someone else said, the most down to earth.
yeah.
Kate was great for philosophy, but
Okay.
Oh, I hear magical tones. Is that Kate calling?
No, someone's calling him to get out of the Matrix now. It's like he got out. Now someone else is calling him.
It's Peggy. Say thank you for your support.
it's my Christmas music clock playing. I forgot.
Nice.
Merry Matrix, everyone.
I did
Merry Matrix.
Merry Matrix. With Peggy, it would have to be that she was probably the most down to earth. Kate's a good philosophy. I don't think he could have dealt with Gloria for long. Yeah, she was pretty, but
Was she?
I don't think he would have.
Are you saying philosophy's boring? Because if you ask the architect, I agree.
But that's fair. You felt like Peggy was the most down to earth. That's totally fair, David. Well, let's now go around and say whether or not we don't give a final rating to our Young Indiana Jones Chronicle reviews, but given having watched this episode, would you want to go on to complete the series and watch the final episode
or the remaining ones
after this? Or are there more than one? I thought it was just one more.
If you've only seen this one and maybe a couple more, is it enough to make you want to go back and watch the others?
The others, or finish off the series with the final one.
Right.
So, Kitos, would you want to continue and watch the next one, or
No
go back
way.
and watch more? No.
There's only one more, and that's not even close.
Nope. I'm done here. The line must be drawn here, and no further. David, how about you?
I was here for the train one. I was here for the vampire one.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to say 2 out of 3 would make me want to watch some more of this series. Because this one I enjoyed. I thought it was fun. Shook my head a lot with Indy, this one, but I would have been like, well, let me see some more of this.
I kind of agree because it wasn't as adventurous as I said, but it was an interesting look, and I enjoyed the history of the ragtime Tin Pan Alley music history behind that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be curious to see the next episode if I had some downtime, which I don't, so probably not.
Yeah. For me, I was telling someone that this was 45 minutes that would have been better spent watching paint dry because I just detested this episode.
So you watched
much.
this at double speed. Did you have a hard time enjoying the music, or
That might be it. Might be it. He didn't have time to listen to music.
It was very, very peppy.
watching at 2x speed? My goodness.
Yeah. Well, sue me, okay?
Yeah.
What did Austin say, or whoever it was?
It's a choice is an illusion. You had to watch at 2x speed.
Yeah. I had
choice.
to. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're sort of split. It sounds like, according to the Retro Rewind podcast, maybe go see the next one, maybe not. But regardless, that ends our review of episode 21, Scandal of 1920. And for me, for Paul, for David, and for Kitos, we bid you all a whoopah.